Hello everyone, welcome back my YouTube channel Salesperson. So today I'm going to show you how many types of exception in Apex and frequently use exception in Apex. So if you want to learn something new, so please watch this video until end. You will be get an idea definitely, and please watch this video until end and please subscribe my YouTube channel for more updates. So let's get started without any further delay. So first exception, frequently used exception, is, now you can see here, first is null pointer exception. Okay, null pointer exception. So how to use this null pointer exception in our Apex? So you can see here, first of all, let me create a string type of variable, let's say str. Okay, I'm not assigning any value inside this variable str, right? And I want to check this str contains something or not, right? So in string, you know, string class, so in under the string class we have lots of method. So let me check in str. You can see lots of methods because it's a string class, right? So under this string class we have another one of the best method, that is called contain. So under this contain I want to check my name. So let's say this string contain my name or not. So it's always written as a boolean value, you know very well, it's a true and false, right? So just I want to store that result into a, you know, boolean variable. So let me add like boolean bool equals to this one, right? After that I want to print this one, right? So now you can see this one. So this is the simple method, or we can say that this is the simple code. You can easily recognize which type of exception will become here, right? So you will be see it's a null pointer exception. Let me execute this code and you will be get an idea here which type of exception is there, right? So just click on this execute anonymous Apex. Okay, so let me change this first of all like system.debug, because that things available under, you know, Java. So that's why my editor takes system.out.println. So don't worry, so you have to change system.debug like this. Let me save it and let me execute. So once you execute it, now you can see immediately system.null pointer exception, right? So before starting all the concept of the exception, please keep in your mind, exception is nothing but it's a abnormal termination of your program. Suppose you have lots of program line of code, you want to check where my code causing some error, so you can definitely you can check with the help of exceptions, right? So is there here, let me show you one another things here. Let me add like system.debug and let's say end of this statement, end of the code, something like that. So please observe, once you get some exception in this line number 3, so rest of the code automatic is skipped by the framework. So no need worry about like how to debug these things. So once you got some exception, definitely rest of the code will not be execute. So how to execute rest of the code? So you can handle this exception using try catch block, right? So how to handle this, let me show you. So suppose here you can see under line number 3 we have some exception. So how to handle it? So you have to maintain try catch block. So under the try you can put all the codes, you will get an error, okay, like this. And catch, we can handle the catch. Under the catch we can print our exception here, right? Let's say this is the null pointer exception, that's why you can see here null pointer, right? Under this catch I want to show you which type of error is there, right? So under the debug you have to use like e dot, and under this exception class we have lots of method, let's say get cause, DML names, get line, get message. So I want to check which type of exception is there. So you have to use get type name, this method, and please stop. And once you handle this exception, the rest of the code will be execute. So this is the way to handle the exception in this block. So let me execute and I will show you the output of this program. So just click on this execute. Now you can see bool method. So it's out of the scope. So let me add this bool inside in the global level. So let me add this variable here and let me use bool as here. Now let me execute this one, and this time you will be see the output end of the code, right? So just click on this execute. Now you can see, or let me put this code inside here, not here. Let me check this variable here, right? So let me execute this one. Now you can see our program successfully ran. So how to check the output? Under the output section, now here you can see line number 8, right? So line number 8 we have some exception. So means which type of exception is there? So you can see system.nullPointer exception, and after that line number 11 you can see the our actual output of this program. Here you can see the end of the code, because of there is no exception right now, so it's handled by the try catch block. So this is all about like null pointer exception. Let me explain next exception, that is called list index out of bound exception, and how to handle it. So now just let me add list of exception here, right? So which type of exception is here? Let me show you here, right? So let's say I want to create list of integer. Just focus on that, list of integer, right? So it's an integer, and once you type this one int list equals to new list of integer, right? And let me add some item inside this list. Let's say integer dot add, under this argument let me add, let's say 100, right? So this is the 0 index, this is the 1 index, this is the 3 index, right? If you want to print this one, so you can print with the help of system.debug and int list, right? Let's say list of integer like this, and you will be get the output of this program. So suppose that I want to access these element of this list using index. So how to use that? Let me show you here. So suppose I want to use like system.debug, right? The first index. So let's say first element of this one. So there is so many ways to handle the index using get method or as well indexing. So I am using indexing first of all. Let's say 0 index. Okay, same kind of things you can handle like second index, and this is the third index. So our item is stored into the list like this. Let me show you in the memory diagram. Let's say this one, under this diagram we have chunks of, chunks of items. So let me divide it by this one here to here. Just focus on that one, that is very most important. Under this one we have 3 parts, because of we have 3 items right now. Let's say this one and this one, right? So under 0 index, so this is a for index, let's say index. So you can just observe this is the index, something like that, right? Like index. And this is the item, let's say item. Here this is item, like this, right? So under the index always starts from 0. So this is a 0th position, this is a 1 position, this is the second position, right? So under 0 position we have first item, that is called 100 here. So just focus on that, very important and very basic concept, right? So just focus on this one. After 1 index you can see like 200 of the second index, and the this is the third index, so it's it 300 here, right? Let's say 300, something like that. So I want to access based on the index. So 0 index you can see the 100 here, right? Like 100, right? So it's coming here in the 0th position, and 1 position you can see here like this, and here it is coming like this. So just focus on that and try to understand, right? So based on the index I'm trying to access the element, so you can access with the help of indexes like this, right? So this program doesn't throw any kind of exception right now, and suppose that I want to use another index like this. So third index doesn't have in this list, right? That's why you will be get an error. So which type of error, let me show you here. So first of all, let me comment out here this code and let me execute this code. So once you execute, now you can see here list exception, list index out of bound exception. So means you will get an error. Definitely it's a list of index out of bound exception because of list capacity have only 0, 1, 2 indexes, but you already store like 4th indexes as well. So this list doesn't accept any kind of extra indexes, right? That's why you can see this. You can handle this error using try catch, and definitely rest of the code will be executed. So in this video I'm trying to explain which type of error will get, and this is the daily ways error, and this is day by day error you will be get in your code. So that kind of error you can aware here, right? So this is the list of exception here. Now let me explain the query exception. This is the second exception. Let me comment out here and let me add another comment that is called third exception, that is called query exception. So how to handle it, let me show you here. So suppose that if you want to access any kind of records in the Salesforce using SQL, right? So we can write the SQL. So let's say I want to execute this SQL. Let's say select id comma name from account, right? Where name like, and suppose that I'm expected my name should be like this, and we can use wildcard character. So this is the wildcard character. After that you have to mention your limit, like I want to fetch only one record, that's why I'm using this limit clause, and it's written like account, let's say ACC, something like that, right? So this query written only matching records, only one record, right? After that if you want to print it, so you can print it here like system.debug ACC, not ACC, let's say single quote like this, right? And if you try to execute this query and this code, so here let me execute first of all and you will be get the idea here. So now come down, so it's the automatic execute here, right? So let's say I don't have any kind of record, let's say this one, right? So let me save it and let me execute. So once you execute it, so definitely you will be get an error. So error is like you can see here, this is the error, system.query exception, list has no row for assignment to the S object. Means this is the SQL error. Why? Because this record doesn't exist in the Salesforce database, right, in our org. That's why you get this error here, right? So this is all about like query exception. Now let me explain another exception, or you can handle this exception using try catch block, because I already explained it how to handle this error. Now let me explain another exception that is called S object exception, right? So let's say S object exception. So how to handle it, let me show you here. Suppose I want to create a new account, so you can create new account like this using instance, right, like this, and after that I want to put something here, right? Let's say name is a required under the account object, that's why you have to mention the value under this field. Right now I'm not using the name field, so you will be get an error here. Let's say I want to insert ACC directly here, right? So once you try to execute this one, right, this code, you will be get an error like S object. So let me do that one thing here, right? So let's say, or this is the one thing, insert, and suppose that after the insert I want to fetch some data, right? Let's say account AC goes to using SQL, and this SQL, let's say select id comma name from account, where id I want to filter out with the help of id goes to acc.id, and please focus on that. There is a no record created with the help of id, we cannot find out, so you will be get an error definitely. So let's say here or let me add the name field here. You can easily understand. Let's say name goes to Rohit, and after that I want to fetch here, and let's say I want to fetch, let's say, string str description field of this query. Let's say description, right? Once you find it, let me print out here description like this. Let me execute and you will be get an error about the S object, right? So let me execute it. So come down, now you can see S object error. System S object row was retrieved via SQL without querying the requested field, that is called account.description, because this field is not available in this query and not record ID, and I'm trying to fetch it. That's why I'm getting this error. So you can handle this error using try catch block, right? So this is all about like S object exception. Now let me commence this code here, and now let me explain the next exception. This is the fourth one. Let me explain the fifth one, and this fifth one regarding the DML exception, right? So how to handle it, let me show you here. Let's say DML exception. So how to find out this one? So let's say I want to create the account object instance like this, and after that I'm trying to insert ACC, like insert ACC, right? So you will be get an error definitely, because name is a required field under the account object. So I didn't apply any kind of value that field, that's why I will be getting some error about the DML. So let me execute this one and come down in the bottom. Now you can see DML exception, system.dml exception, insert field, first exception on the row, first error, required field missing, required field is missing. Now you can see the name field, so name is missing. That's why you can see here this is the DML exception. You can handle this exception using try catch. I already explained. So if you didn't get any point here, back this video and see my first example of this exception part, right? And then come back again and you can write here try catch block, right? So now let me explain the sixth exception, that is called limit exception. Limit exception. These all are exception regarding your frequently used exception in your daily life. That's why I am trying to explain this kind of exception to you, right? So here this is a limit exception here. So how to explain the limit exception or how to write the code? Let's say I have a one for loop, okay, and this for loop contain the integer I equals to 1 and this one, and under I'm telling you only for SQL, so we can perform only 150 DML operation, right? So now under the output you can see the limit. So here SQL query rows, here you can see we can execute 100 SQL query at a time. We can query the records, here you can see 50,000, and SQL query 20, DML 150. So we can perform only 150 DML. That's why I'm trying to explain you. And number of DML we can perform, here you can see the 10,000, right? So this is the some governor limits. So based on this limit you can do that, right? So here once you did these things, let's say 200, for example 200, so definitely I will get some error and you will see this error inside this one, right? So let's say I want to try to execute this one. Let me execute it, and here in the last come down, right? Come down. Now you can see here this is the DML. Okay, let me comment out here, let me save it and let me execute again. So once you did these things, now here now you can see this one, right? Let me add the acc.name here. Let's say this one. I'm trying to execute this one right now. So you will be getting an error about the limit. Let me execute again. Yes. So in the last come down, now you can see limit exception, too many DML statement, means we can perform only 150 DML operation at a time or a transaction, right? So that's why you can see this is the limit exception here, right? So guys, I hope you learned something new in this video. If you feel like this is a very informative for us, so please subscribe my YouTube channel and share, like, share and comments. Please keep in touch. Till then, bye bye, take care, see ya.